Now, how I'm going to go about constructing this video is going to be a puzzle in and of itself, but anyway, for those of you who are just waking up from a coma, greetings to all of you. Donald Trump became president again, and the collective hysteria from all of this has been thoroughly amusing. So Academic Agent made a video some weeks ago speculating that in the wake of Donald Trump's victory, is there a possibility that Big Tent politics becoming big, mainstream, and therefore ultimately kind of cringe, is there a possibility that the left can ascend and become a counterculture force once again? Interesting observation, and I wish them nothing but merciless bad luck and scorn in their quest. May they crash and fail forever. Because here's the skinny for you all. For as much as I detest the post-World War II order and the affiliated sloganeering wank that comes with it, I will employ some of them here if for no other reason other than it's funny. That side for several decades now has been pushing for essentially gay race communism. Now, communism, much like democracy, is cringe and gay already. Adding race and additional layers of gay to it is like trying to put out fire using absinthe. It's kind of retarded. That being said, the left does understand the reality of politics and power. Up to a point. I was having a conversation with Harry Robinson from the Lotus Eater several months ago. In fact, he brought this up on the show. The left are all rhetoric, but their actions are wholly different. The left talks of equal rights and democracy, but they operate in this rigid military-like hierarchical fashion with the deference to power. Whereas the right talks of elitism and hierarchy, but the principles they try to uphold are democratic and equal rights, aka left-wing politics. This is why the mainstream quote-unquote right-wing is an abomination. The left understands this very, very well. It is also why I said that politics is not downstream from culture, culture is downstream from power. However, just because you have the tools and the materials does not mean what you construct isn't stricken with cerebral palsy with all the functionality of a broken pile of arse. Uncle Mussolini was in fact correct. No revolution can change the nature of man. Take, for example, the existence of the Skittle Squad. As I said before, this particular faction, and I'm being very generous with my language here, serves no functional purpose for improving one's civilization. Were one to remove them, nothing of substance would be lost whatsoever. They exist purely as a mechanism by which the plebs can virtue signal, indicating support for the regime, and that's it. By the way, the fact that their support base is disproportionately those who are missing a Y chromosome, I would take that as a firm indication that those of the ovarian variety have absolutely no business being in politics whatsoever. All hail the great Lady Vicky. Kind of reminds me of something that Scrum said a while ago, that the left have largely won, the worldview has been created, and yet it's made them miserable and completely insane. Quite literally, actually, being left-wing exponentially increases your chances of mental illness, which is not remotely surprising because, again, the arch-nemesis of leftism is reality. In the absence of a theological counterbalance to the state, these people have allowed the state to become their god. It has become their identity, their morality, their, well, frankly, everything. But again, none of it was ever real. Square peg, round hole. Which brings us to our current predicament. And I'm not saying this because I'm a monarchist, much, but having spoken to many Americans and observing their behavior, if the average American hasn't the faintest idea how their government works, especially considering recent events, I don't mean how it's theorized to work or how it's supposed to work. No, I mean how it actually works. Forget checks and balances and all that nonsense. Look at voter turnout. The general election is the only election Americans give a flying damn about. Most Americans are blissfully unaware of who their closest representatives even are. But they all know who's in the White House. Trump's comeback was hailed as the return of the king, daddy's home. The population behaves like monarchists longing for a strong chief executive. You cannot escape the great man, and Americans are no exception to this. The previous administration, and whatever shadowy faceless cabal was running that executive branch, because it sure as hell wasn't Joe Biden, desecrated the nation through an onslaught of dysfunctional executive orders, laying the groundwork for the Don to come in and do the exact same thing. When the previous fossilized puppet enacted an orgy of executive orders, the leftist wankers didn't say a word. But when Trump does it, oh, we're upset now, here is wine, oh, boo frickin' who, cry more. The Democrats, unsurprisingly, have learned absolutely nothing and continue to desperately shriek the same tired-ass slogans of the last 10 bloody years. And the people who cling to the state as their Lord and Savior are seeing their unholy temple being decimated with vengeful righteous fire. Their faith is not only being challenged, it's being destroyed. The cult is shattering, which no doubt will leave a whole bunch of people in complete disarray, suffering an identity crisis and contemplating the purpose of their very existence, which naturally, of course, I find very amusing. Leading to interesting headlines like this coming from the New York Times, which is the first time anyone has said that out loud ever. We have no coherent message. Democrats struggle to oppose Trump. More than 50 interviews with Democratic leaders revealed the party struggling to decide what it believes in, what issues to prioritize, and how to confront an aggressive right-wing administration. Now, I was under the impression that democracy is supposed to be the will of the people. And herein lies the dirty little secret of democracy. It was always a farce. The people never had a say. It was always top-down, like every other civilization since the dawn of mankind. Except the farcical machinations of the leftist machinery do in fact have some limits, and they are now visibly rejected as a slew of Trump-fueled executive actions are like the hand that found a loose thread, proceeding to pull it in 6th gear, resulting in the old machinery being completely caught off guard, on the back foot, and left scrambling. Which leads me to our amusement here, because the left, naturally being a pack of cultists and failing to acknowledge any wrongdoing, no self-reflection whatsoever, being smug, stupid, and high as hell in their own undeserved egos, are eating each other alive, and oh, isn't it just a joy to see?
I know that Francesca Fiorentini is currently attacking you about this, as if Donald Trump is unique. He's novel compared to past presidents, certainly a special kind of evil that we've never seen before. In her mind, these are the gulags that she was warning about. But in fact, this has been a long-standing practice. You can be against that practice, but Donald Trump isn't doing anything new here.
Yeah, so I'm going to address it. I think that the clip that Francesca's using is misleading and totally out of context, but that's okay. But I know that—
No, it's not okay. No, it's not okay. That dishonesty is not okay.
Yeah,
but continue. Go ahead.
I hear you. I hear you. I don't mean to
but she's getting the likes that she wants, right? Otherwise, I mean, who would pay attention to anything she's doing if she's not attacking TYT? But anyway, continue, Jane.
Yeah, all right.
I'll be honest, Anna, when she's right and has that chip on her shoulder, is rather satisfying to watch, if only because she only ever targets her own, seeing as she doesn't have the balls or merit to attack the right, well, at least not objectively anyway. You know what's getting rough when even Anna is somewhat defending Trump? She's 100% right on Francesca, by the way. She was on Piers Morgan some weeks back, and man, the comment section was ruthlessly brutal. Justifiably so, because my word, she is denser than a block of cement. She's one of those you would actively advise not to speak because she makes misogyny seem rational. It is someone with a similar vein of reaction, who no doubt made use of a thesaurus for this post, Emma Vigeland. Gotta love the performative piousness of polymarket populists. It doesn't even make any sense here. Coming for ally and movement partner because she posted Cenk's own words coming from his mouth. Go back to your roots ranking celebrity camel toes, get your clicks that way, as the rest of us oppose fascism. Ah, yes, opposing fascism. Wanting the right to bear arms, free speech, smaller government, and properly functioning nation-state borders. Naturally, of course, the hallmarks of fascism. You fucking idiot. By the way, Emma is so thick last month she revealed she didn't know nicotine was the addictive component in cigarettes. You think I'm kidding?
What's that?
This Zen stuff looks gross.
Isn't it
that much of an improvement on?
It's just nicotine, right? Those Zen ones? Yeah. What's the point? Do you get high from nicotine?
Yes.
I thought you get high from the tobacco.
Oh my. Ladies and gentlemen, Emma Vigeland.
Or
nicotine.
Neither.
That's what it is. It's nicotine in the tobacco.
Addicted to it.
Right, but that's the stuff that's the stimulating part of it?
Jesus Christ.
Nicotine is a stimulant.
Right, I know. Okay. But then what's the point of just having the... Okay.
You're just having the stimulant.
Nicotine is the stimulating part of tobacco?
Oh my God in heaven.
Oh man, shout out to Harbasa for that clip, by the way. That is some good stuff right there. By the way, a comment on that video, apparently Emma didn't know that an egg was fertilized when they were talking about abortion limits several months ago. Dear Lord, I hope that isn't true, though I wouldn't be remotely surprised if it were. Anna, however, decided to not take that dig lightly and go full scorched earth. I remember Emma telling me verbatim, I never have to work a day in my life if I don't have to because of how wealthy her family is. Your mom threw a nice little fundraiser for Senator Gillibrand in 2019, right? I get why you're so attached to a party that fucked over the working class over and over again, so I don't really expect her to understand what it's like to live in a neighborhood that's been overrun with criminals due to the policies she preaches in the name of gaining social capital. Never mind the irony of Anna doing the same thing. Moving on. Fran did a hatchet job on Cenk, even though he was kind enough to waste his time going on her show in the name of openness and understanding, since when do you people ever do that ever? I knew he was making a mistake. These people aren't interested in building any coalitions. They're not open to understanding anything. They don't even give a shit about winning policy goals. Again, in fairness, Anna, neither do you, but anyway. Literally, the worst thing Cenk ever did was open up the company to these people. They came in, leached off what he built, and turned on him for clout the first second they could. Again, Cenk has pretty much done the same thing, being the plain-storming sellout that he is. Also, tell me, Emma, since taking a sponsor is so unacceptable to you and the 4-person company you work for, nice dig there, how many of the dozens of employees at TYT should Cenk lay off to appease your judgmental ass? Tell us. I'm going to assume Anna's telling the truth, if only because it's funnier that way. But lo and behold, what a surprise, Emma is nothing more than a trust fund baby born with a silver spoon up her ass. I feel violated just saying that. Who naturally, like every one of the champagne socialist swilling ilk, can afford the luxury of babbling on, advocating for things that will never affect her personally, all in a desperate attempt to cope with the fact her life is empty and has no meaning, because she stands for and will accomplish nothing. What a surprise, she's a walking cliche. Now, Anna, what else did you have to say?
Guys, if
I don't
he's
know if I
gonna do
belong
that,
here anymore. Like, I'm going to just keep it real, Cenk. I don't know if I belong anymore. I don't. Because people want propaganda. They do. They want propaganda.
But our
and
audience
I don't want to
doesn't.
do propaganda.
Look at 90 and I mean.
No, don't get it. I mean, I just look.
Now there's people saying
it is what it is. It is what it is. Like I just want to be accurate, and I was totally deranged during Trump's first term, but I bought into the fear mongering and I unwittingly repeated inaccurate bullshit. And I have a lot of issues like
what, Anna?
Dealing with the guilt of that. I didn't do it on purpose. It was something that I was engaging in without even realizing it. I myself was propagandized by the fear mongers. And the reason why I feel guilt is because I was giving my audience inaccurate information and instilling fear in my audience, okay? I don't want to make those same mistakes. I want to be as accurate as I possibly can. I'm sure I'm going to make mistakes, even with this, new frame of mind. But that's what my thinking is, okay? I'm not interested in being a little propagandist for any political group. I think both parties are garbage. I think that they have totally failed the American people. And I'm going to stop pretending like Democrats are somehow better than the Republican Party. They're not. Don't become everything you hate. Just please don't. Please don't. The Democrats aren't worth it. They're not worth it.
Now, I have said this many a time now, being a leftist content creator is the easiest grift in the world. You get to ignore all the realities of politics, power, demographics, human nature, intelligence, and you advocate for the most delusional policies ever and do nothing but blame corruption for why your utopian vision never comes to fruition. Oh, leftism would be so wonderful if only we can find these mythical beings who can do our bidding, and we can chastise them for not living up to our moral code as we sit and scratch our useless fat asses, aka the political worldview of a 5-year-old. By the way, you ever want to see these people spurg? Ask them how they feel about desegregation at gunpoint and the right to association. Watch them squirm, but anyway. In the content creation sphere, you're sort of snookering yourself into an inevitability of some sort. See, in the real world, if you happen to realize this is an embarrassingly infantilized view of politics and human nature, one would react and change accordingly. This is how anything with proper cognitive function operates. Except in the content creation sphere, if you do this, you'll be called a grifter. Whereas in the real world, failure to do this will get you labeled an idiot. So you're screwed either way. She is right though on the propaganda thing, and Cenk's heavy-ass coping suggesting the TYT audience doesn't seek propaganda is probably the funniest thing about this video. You're a leftist, Cenk. Your entire worldview is nothing but propaganda. And it's delirious propaganda at that. Now, as I said before, I consider myself a propagandist. Propaganda is nothing more than information steering your thinking in a certain direction. I mean, by this standard, damn near everything is propaganda, including your own life experience. It is a given then that people want to hear propaganda. It's human nature. People don't want to hear different opinions. That's some BS middle-of-the-bell curve twats say to seem enlightened. They aren't enlightened, they're just pretentious. The reality is, information in this sphere without context is meaningless. It's like code without an operating system. It needs that application. Everything these commentators view as good or bad depends on their fairy tale idealism, or what they've been paid to advocate for, or their cold-hearted realism. For example, if you happen to be a delusional git who believes society needs an army of bureaucrats, and the moment anyone suggests this apparatus is an unholy, wasteful abomination and it needs to be eroded, and your reaction to that is to shriek like a drunken banshee because you believe the sky is falling, you're an idiotic leftist. If, however, you correctly assess said unholy abomination and wish to drive a metaphorical tank through it, and the mere thought of this gets you hard enough to knock nails into a wall, you're probably a man of the right. So please spare us this nonsensical pivot. It's absolutely fraudulent. She's not going to change her worldview. She's not going to abandon her delusional idealism. That would require self-reflection and an admittance of wrongdoing, and actually changing in some substantive manner. She's never going to do any of that. She doesn't have the testicular fortitude of such a feat. She is going to sit there forever and spew worthless propaganda.
Did you see the clip? I was looking for the unedited video. Did you see the clip of Anna going, I don't think I belong here. Oh, I did propaganda. Fuck you. Fuck you. That's my position on her. Fuck you. You know why? Because, what was that, a couple days ago? Now you're back doing full-blown fucking propaganda against Darren Beattie, who's one of the good ones. And so fuck you. Your pivot is bullshit. You're only doing what's necessary. If your life was not inconvenienced, you would be doing the same shit you've always been doing. So give me a break with this bullshit.
My sentiments exactly. Cheers for watching, and once again, I apologize for nothing.